Rain, rain, go away. Let the Phillies come back today to fight another day. Yeah, see, I can rhyme, I can rap, I can do it all before the show starts here. Sixers uninspired. Phillies game canceled last night. Trending in the AM starts in 30 seconds.
Holding gets around in front. Embiid,
and Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. And make sure you do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button on the DSM Media YouTube page. If you're watching on one of the other platforms, head on over to that YouTube page. We are doing a massive YouTube giveaway. We've got a Bryce Harper World Series patch jersey. We've got Eagles tickets. We've got Eagles suite level tickets, all available. There's thresholds when we hit certain criteria on subscribers that we are going to give these prizes away. So make sure, even if you're watching somewhere else, eventually you head over to that DSM Media YouTube page. You like it, you subscribe to it. We'd greatly appreciate that. I am Phil Stifle, your host at Bearded Knowledge. Today, joining me is Dylan Davis at DylanJD98, my man, because we've got lots to talk about today. Phillies game postponed last night. Changes the momentum, changes the theories and the game theories of the series drastically. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the Sixers. We haven't talked much Sixers. I watched last night's Sixers game because the Phillies was postponed. And let me tell you something. I struggled to stay awake watching that Sixers game last night. Had nothing to do with the head cold. Had nothing to do with the Phillies. It had everything to do with the Sixers and their energy. Good morning, Dylan. How you doing today, my man?
I'm uninspired, Phil, and I'm uninspired because of your bad rap in the beginning of the show.
Did my rap in the beginning? It wasn't a rap. That was a nursery rap. I have rapped before.
You said day back to back, so that kind of messed the flow up of the rhyme there. So I don't know. You might have to figure that out next time.
Rain,
start a show.
Go away, come back to play another day.
There you go.
That's it. Always sounds really good up here. But then once that word live goes on my screen, everything
you're not a poet, Phil.
Here just goes away.
Because you're not a poet. That's the problem.
I'm not a poet. I hated poetry in school. Absolutely hated poetry class in school.
But with that said, yes, you're right, guys. We appreciate it if you head over to the YouTube channel, and do your it's free. It's like any other YouTube subscription for a chance to win one of two, if not both, if you're lucky enough for those great prizes. So go help us out, and we'll help you out as well.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk Phillies. We'll start with Phillies, then we'll move into the Sixers. Phillies game last night, finally, like 30 seconds before first pitch, gets rained out. Call the game. They just didn't want to call it. And I understand, actually, first and foremost, because there's a lot of people bitching and moaning about Major League Baseball not postponing it sooner. There's a lot that goes into postponing a World Series baseball game. And the changes in the travel schedules and the TV schedules and everything with all the other sports teams in these cities. There's so much that goes into it. I understand, a storm can sway a little bit one way or the other, give you a window to get a game in. I understand why they waited. And I wasn't down there in the parking lot, so maybe that's why I wasn't as pissed off as the 40,000 people down there waiting for the game to start. But I understand their decision to hold off till the last second last night.
I understand the thought process for if you're talking, postponements or rain delays in general. But if you look at last night, like, brother, it took me or you to just look at the radar and look at the cell phone to tell you that game wasn't being played. It wasn't Game 5 Sunday where there was rain. You knew rain was coming, but there was a break in the storm. You had, it could pass, whatever the case was. This was rain from 7 p.m. till throughout this morning. So, where did you guys think this rain was going to shift to? This 13-hour rain, storm. Where was this storm going to shift to? I have no idea. And honestly, Phil, what are the earlier meetings for? That's my problem. You put out, you tell people 3:30 we're going to have a meeting. You come out at 3:30. Whatever was discussed, you tell the people 5:30 we're going to have a second meeting. Then you tell people by 6:45 we're going to have a. What are the previous 2 meetings for?
I'm going to tell
just
you
sitting there.
I'm going to
playing
tell you
some cards or something.
No. The 3:30 meeting was everybody getting together and being like the boss, whoever. Is it Rob Manfred? Is he still the boss? Worst boss in sports, maybe. He looks at everybody's like, all right, we might not play this game. We're going to meet back here at 5:30. You, and you got to figure out the contingency plans. Then they come back at 5:30. Do you have the contingency plans? Yes. Okay. Weatherman, John Belaris, Weatherman of the Stars. Yo, do we have a window? And John Belaris says, yo, there'll be a 2-hour window because it's going to stop. You don't get the John Belaris references, do you?
No, I don't.
Man, why am I stuck with such babies here? John Belaris is like the worst weatherman in Philadelphia history. He called the storm of the century in the late 90s.
I know Hurricane Schwartz.
John Belaris is the great. John Belaris was the weatherman that got, date raped by some Russian escort somewhere on vacation and had like hundreds of thousands of dollars stolen from him. You never heard? Look up John Belaris. He follows me, actually. John Belaris, famous man right there that follows me. You don't get the John Belaris reference. It's very disappointing. He called like the storm of the century, and we got literally, instead of 18 inches of snow, we got like 70-degree weather. Like it was literally that awful. Anyway, the weatherman says maybe, maybe not. So meeting 1 is the contingency plans. Meeting 2 is going over those plans and seeing if there's a chance. And then meeting 3 is calling the game.
Oh, I'm telling you.
You can't just cancel a game like that.
You can by 6 o'clock, by 5:30, 6 o'clock, when you can look at what's coming and it's telling you rain from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. straight through, 70% chance or above.
Yeah. Well,
so
I'm going to make the reference. If they've got John Belaris in that room.
Right, that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping for a miss that desperately. And then the other thing that just bothers me, maybe it's just the Philly in myself versus the New York that I can't stand. But like, dude, I watched the Yankees have a game get called at 10 a.m. the morning of a game they had at night in the NLDS or the NLCS. They had 2 games postponed to weather early on in the day in the same round, like back to back, or 2 out of 3 games. And we're waiting till 7 p.m. to announce that this game's canceled. Like, it is just a little frustrating. Now, the Phillies are doing the right thing. They better, or else they would have had a riot on their hands. Just bring your parking voucher to whatever lot you parked in last night, and you'll park for free tonight with that voucher. The only thing that sucks,
pissed off if I had tickets for tonight and I have to work tomorrow, and then I gotta change everything.
But can I say a very unpopular opinion?
Yeah.
So you just heard me, kind of give it to the MLB brass a little bit. You heard me. The Phillies better do the right thing. And, normally I would be like, well, what about the people that spent money in the ballpark? Like, that's messed up. I'm sorry. But I'm telling you, like, if I'm pointing out the radar and the weather from last night to the MLB brass, like, why aren't you calling this game already?
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion, Philly faithful. What are we doing? Like, if I ain't got, like, I'm not going in the ballpark and spending money because
Devin Keeney or Caney, I don't know.
Yeah.
She tweeted out because somebody was calling her out for bitching and moaning about having to be down there waiting. And she's like, what? Was I going to pass up the opportunity to go to a World Series game that they had not canceled? Like, if they don't cancel it, then you just wasted your chance to go see a World Series game.
I get that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what are you going into the ballpark and buying beers and buying food for?
If you want to talk about that aspect of it,
for a game that we all kind of knew wasn't happening. You want to go down, you want to tailgate, you want to give it a shot, sure. But I ain't going into the ballpark at 6 p.m. when the game's at 8:03 with a 95% chance of it not happening and going, here's $15 for a beer, here's $15 for a beer, here's $25 for food. I'm not saying a lot of people did that, but I saw people that I knew down inside the stadium before it got called, and then they were like, oh no, what's happening? Guys, pull out your cell phone.
Yeah.
Like, you
don't even have to download an app. Every phone comes with a weather app.
Like, come
Google,
on, man.
Apple, whatever. They all have it. All right.
Yeah.
That's enough of the weather talk. Enough of the weather. Because the next 3 days here in Philly are going to be beautiful. Upper 60s during the day, low 50s, early 40s, or high 40s, middle of the game tonight. Does the postponement change any of your feelings for how this series is going to play out? The momentum, because I was talking yesterday about the momentum even though we got the split in Houston, the momentum kind of felt like it was swaying Houston's way. I think this extra day is obviously, I know you're going to agree with me, super beneficial to the Phillies pitching staff wise.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of think the extra day off kind of gives the Phillies a little bit more opportunity to kind of just reset themselves. Another night at home in their own bed, Astros on the road, an extra day that they didn't plan on it. There is so much that favors the Phillies with this rain delay.
It's funny that you bring up the Astros on the road thing, because my buddy texted me last night. He goes, good or bad for us? And I was like, great. Let them MF sleep in a hotel for another night. Like, it's a small thing, but it's something you're not planning for. You're out of routine kind of now. You're out of rhythm now. You're expecting to play a game, and now you don't get it. It 100% helps the pitching staff because of what Kyle's pointing out. Now, you skip the Syndergaard start that was supposed to be made last night. You get Ranger on his rest. He goes tonight. Nola tomorrow. Now, I did see, obviously, us fans, we were thinking, okay, Nola, then Wheeler in Game 5 at home. Topper came out, said that's not the plan. Yeah. Wheeler slated for Game 6. Now, I wonder how that plan changes if the Phillies somehow take the next 2 and 5 is set up to be a closeout 3-1. I wonder if he changes there, but he said Wheeler Game 6, Thor, or if he's using the bullpen, he
said something very scary.
He said his name. He who shall not be said.
Yeah. Thou who should not be mentioned in Game 5.
Kyle Gibson, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So, first and foremost, to get to the Wheeler part, I said it after his outing after Game 2. He does not look right. Something is off with him. He doesn't seem healthy. His velocity is massively dipped in the last 2 starts. Like the last game, Game 2. I mean, he never hit 96 even, I don't think.
Yeah, Game 2 was a problem, and he had the 6 days rest.
Problem. So I am not surprised. And if it is 3-1 with a chance to close out, I don't think Zach Wheeler goes in Game 5. I think no matter what, they go Noah, maybe Gibby, but probably Noah. Maybe if the game's close, maybe they decide to bring Zach Wheeler in some form of a relief position. Yeah. But Zach Wheeler's spent, in my opinion. He really is.
But Phil, he shouldn't be
being spent.
But he shouldn't be. Like, pull that comment back up, because while like Topper never applauded the 6-day rest numbers, we all know what the ERA looked like on 5 days versus 6 days throughout the season. But it's fatigue now because he got rocked. But we were all sitting here saying, have you seen Wheeler's numbers on 6 days? What was he fatigued for on 6 days rest? Not to mention, he didn't play the last month and a half of the season up until 2 weeks to go.
Because he was injured. He had tired arm.
Yes, but they prolonged that injury for the rest part to get him. Once they saw that they continued to win, they gave him another start or 2 off when he was slated to come back.
You're thinking of the next topic of the day, the Sixers and Joel Embiid and rest. It's totally different for a pitcher and their arm.
I get it.
When their knee is messed up and you're playing and you're overcompensating with your arm, being tired as an athlete is different than arm fatigue. They're 2 totally different things.
I'm telling you, he shouldn't be fatigued, but
he shouldn't be. He's making $150 million or whatever it is. He should be in the best shape of his life.
Listen,
but it happened.
And
this has been a question about Zach Wheeler. His whole career has been his arm durability and whether it'll hold up, over a long season.
Well, here's the funny part. Now that we're here, now that we're 1-1 in the World Series back at Citizens Bank Park, and we know who's coming to start Game 4 and where Wheeler will be, we had all of the positivity in the world towards our top 2 guys early on in the postseason. Mm-hmm. Fellas, you better show up, because Aaron Nola hasn't looked good in his last 2 starts. If Aaron Nola comes out in Game 4 and gets shelled the way he did in Game 5, I had someone give me pushback. So I had tweeted out after Game 2, the goal was and always was a split in Houston. So I'll take it. But having your top 2 starters shit the bed on the road in the biggest moment is a problem. This one guy said, Nola did his job. What are you talking about? Nola did his job. He gave up 5 and 6 hits in 4 innings. In what world is that doing his job? No, the bullpen did their job.
That actual outing caused, if it wasn't for the rain delay, you having to push Ranger Suarez's next start back a day.
Yeah.
He was supposed to go game 3 last night. He couldn't. He was going to go today, game 4. So Nola really did shit the bed because he totally threw everything for the entire series off in that bullpen, in the starting rotation, everything.
My point here is that Nola and then if Wheeler gets another shot, have to be on their game, because if not, and they collapse and they lose this World Series, obviously at the end of the day, right now we're not telling ourselves this. Right now it's please win, please win, please win. At the end of the day, this season will be a huge success, no matter what the outcome in a month from now. Bottom line is, we were going through the first 3 series of this postseason like, oh my God, these two in the biggest moments. Now they get here and they're getting, and if they could, I'm not saying they're going to get rocked, but if they continue to look like they did in games 1 and games 2, that's a problem. The Phillies will not win the series. Game 1 was exciting, man. The way they came back, the way they fought their heart. Being down 5-0 against this team is not a recipe for success the rest of the series. So the starters need to figure it out.
Well, I said it the other day. I'm not trying to be negative, but I kind of got the 2001 Sixers vibes, going up against the Lakers, the vaunted Lakers, who had not lost in the whole entire
game 1.
Stole game 1. You had the clutch step over Tyrone Lue moment with the JT not walk-off home run, but big home run and extras. You had all those moments. And then just the better team just won the rest of the games. Now, do I think the Astros are going to win 4 games in a row? No. The Phillies have lost 4 games in a row multiple times this year.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. But just as much as it helps our pitching staff back everything up, change things around, it probably does the same thing for the Astros. I don't know if they've made any announcements on their game 4 and 5 starter, but we might see some tweet. We might see Justin Verlander a day earlier. We might see some of these things. If it gets to game 7, and that's a big if in my opinion at this point. If it gets to a game 7, Aaron Nola might be able to start game 7, but so might Justin Verlander. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a lot that the rain delay helps us massively. It helps us, it helps our fans because honestly, a beautiful night like tonight, the fans are going to be 10 times louder than in a rainy, soaked, Halloween, miserable night like last night. But team-wise, it helps both teams equally just as much.
For sure, just like the 5-day or the 5 or 6 day break between games, the NLCS and Game 1 of the World Series, everyone was like, "Oh, well, does it help us? Does it slow our momentum?" The Astros are going through the same exact thing, right? They had the same exact break, so it's the same thing there. The only thing I'll say is it helps us obviously get the Wheeler and Nola starts and pass up on the Thor start. But
pass up on the Thor start for a Gibby start.
Yeah, exactly. But it kind of almost makes me feel better about their rotation, Phil, because it could mean you get a Lance McCullers or Christian Javier in game 7 if it got to 7. It might not necessarily equate to Justin Verlander or Framber Valdez if they're going to throw 5 and 6, you know what I mean? That they're going to miss 7. So it'll be interesting to see what Dusty does. It'll be interesting to see what Topper does. Everybody just better buckle up if Kyle Gibson's on the mound in a game 5. That's all I'm going to say.
We better be well, hopefully if Kyle goes in game 5 that they don't move Verlander up and we get Verlander because we know he stinks in the World Series.
Yeah.
That'll be our only who would have pre-wrote before the season started Kyle Gibson versus Justin Verlander in game 5 of the World Series and Kyle Gibson to win. Yeah. That just that is not the script anybody had planned.
Listen, I will just point out the fact I saw a big Houston Astros account tweet this out yesterday about, taking a jab at Philly and about how home field advantage isn't going to play that much of a factor. Yeah, I got news for you, pal. Like this team, Phil, just doesn't have the look of a team that's losing a home game anytime soon. We'll see tonight. We'll find out how they set the tempo at home tonight. But that place is going to be like no other ballpark has been for a very long time tonight. The Phillies feed off of it, And you watch what the Astros play in front of him, that lifeless ballpark where with the golf claps as they all sit with their legs crossed, like just up, reclined, relax. Yeah, good job, guys. Yeah, I'm interested to see how they look. They played in Yankee Stadium. I get it. They played in other raucous on road games.
Nothing's like Philly.
Not like this one tonight, and for the next 3 nights. So I do think that the home field advantage definitely plays somewhat of a factor. I'm not saying that it's going to affect the outcome of the game, but it definitely gives. If the Phillies aren't already juiced,
right,
here's a little surge for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I got a weird question for you here, and I want to make sure we have time to sneak this in. So I had a same game parlay laid out for last night. Okay. It got voided because of the postponement.
And
it did not involve Noah Syndergaard or Ranger Suarez whatsoever. It did involve McCullers. Do I go and roll with the exact same game parlay tonight? Because if I don't, I was very confident. It was a very, very simple 3 different Phillies players to get 1+ base, McCullers to give up 4 hits, and I think I had the Phillies like plus 1.5 runs. It was something very similar. I got to go look it up. I have a snapshot of it. It was like plus 400, plus 450, something like that. I feel like I have no choice but to roll with the same bet, even though everything has completely changed now because of the rain game.
Run it back.
You gotta maybe not the full bet. Maybe go half the bet and then do a second one now that my opinion on tonight's game has slightly changed. I don't know.
I don't know. I'd run it back. I'd run it back because if it hits, and you don't run it back and you tweak something, you throw something else in instead of let's just say you had a Reese base and you throw in a Marsh base. I'm not saying you would ever do that, but that's you're going to kick yourself in the morning.
Yeah, maybe I did actually have a Marsh base in there. I don't know. I'm a lot higher on Brandon Marsh than a lot of other people are, so there might have been a.
I like Brandon Marsh.
Yeah,
he's just in a pretty big slump off it. Well, actually, he had a double in Houston, so maybe not. But before that, he was in a little bit of a hitting slump.
It was a Schwarber, Hoskins, and Harper base.
Okay.
McCullers 4 hits, and the Phillies plus 2.5 runs. So, and it was a plus 5 for the boost.
I am indifferent when it comes to the Schwarber part because, in my opinion, if Schwarber's grabbing 1, Schwarber's grabbing at least 2.
See, I have now lost 2 parlays this postseason because I had hits for Schwarber instead of bases. And what was the game in the last round? He had like 3
you had
walks
2
in the
hits.
Game. Yeah, I had 2 hits and he had 3 walks. And, you know, so I'm partial to the total bases versus the total hits or home runs.
Yeah, but if you go to
Schwarber draws a lot of walks.
No, for sure. But if you go to the 2 bases, that's probably plus money in itself.
That's
the same game parlay.
So that's why I'm saying keep this and then maybe adjust it, have a second one.
I know.
Split that.
I know it's interesting.
Yeah.
I know. Maybe run with that one. Maybe run with that one and then take the 3 hitters you got and all give them 2+ bases and throw a little bit less money on it. See if you can get a little lucky there with some home runs and a double or something.
So the Phillies then offensively, we're talking about this bet. Do they come out the extra day off? Does it because Ranger was scheduled to go today no matter what?
Correct.
For Lance McCullers, he was scheduled and prepping all day to go yesterday. He was probably doing his pregame routine yesterday.
Well, he's not pitching.
Oh, McCullers isn't pitching anymore tonight?
No, I'm pretty sure I saw that Dusty Baker announced Christian Javier is going tonight.
Oh, well, that changes my parlay, too, because I had McCullers in that parlay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Sorry, my apologies. I was saying that changes everything.
I could be wrong.
ESPN still has Lance McCullers listed against Ranger Suarez for tonight, 8:03.
Let me look up real quick and see if I can find.
I normally have ESPN up pre-shows, and ESPN has McCullers going and has the Phillies as the analytics a slight favorite, even though they're, betting favorites. They're not the betting favorites anymore. Where are you looking?
I have. That's what it is. You are correct. Houston manager said he expects Christian Javier will start game 4.
Yeah.
Threw me off because I was like,
we're bumping Nola up to 4.
Yeah.
They're going with their guy in 4.
I was looking at days for them. Lance McCullers still in line for game 3 Tuesday night.
I think Ranger Suarez has the massive advantage pitching tonight over McCullers. Even though McCullers is the more experienced, better pitcher, big picture, McCullers was all ready to go yesterday. He was warmed up, well, not fully warmed up, but he was going about his starting day routine, and then he's got to do it all over again today.
Was
Ranger
he?
Suarez was his day off yesterday. He did his day off routine. You know what I mean? Ranger Suarez is going into the day because he was fully prepared to go today.
So if this is correct here, I'm looking at McCullers' numbers. He had to have been dealing with an injury this year because he only threw 8 games. He threw 47 and 2/3 innings. He got into 7 innings twice this year. And I don't know. I guess not, because the Astros haven't had to play a lot of games. He hasn't pitched. Well, he pitched October 23rd against the Yankees. He went 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk. Did throw 6 strikeouts still, so he can miss bats. But he got hit around a little bit in his last postseason start against the Yankees. So we'll see what the Phillies can do tonight.
Yeah, I think it favors the Phillies. While I yesterday was not predicting a Phillies win, I think I said last night or yesterday morning on the morning show that the Phillies were going to lose because of the weather, because of the pitching matchups. I thought it was going to be a high scoring. I had them losing 8-6 last night. But because of everything that has now changed, I really think it affects Lance McCullers a little bit. Ranger Suarez is better off than going with Noah Syndergaard, in my opinion. The momentum has 100% swung, in my opinion. So I'm changing where I said yesterday the Phillies were going to lose Game 3. I think I'm pretty damn confident that the Phillies are able to pull out a win tonight in Game 3 and take the moment. We say it all the time. In a 1-1 series, Game 3 is the most pivotal. It's an all sports like that. It's huge to win Game 3. And I think the Phillies get it done tonight.
I agree, and I'm interested. It all depends on what Ranger you get tonight. Obviously, hopefully the Phillies can knock around McCullers, but you cannot have a slow, bad start for the guy on the bump for the 3rd straight game against this Astros team. You cannot get down 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Anything in that range is just, it becomes too much after a while, man. You can steal 1, maybe 2 after being down by that much, but you're going to lose 80% of the games you play that way. Ranger Suarez comes in, saves the day in Game 5 to advance to the World Series, and they're all, Topper says the joke. Well, his heartbeat stays at a 63, and when he was on the mound, it was a 65. So, he's just calm, cool, and collected. He doesn't show a lot of emotion on the mound. I need that Ranger tonight. I can't have, game 2 against the Braves or game 3 against whatever, game 2 against the Braves.
That's the game I was thinking of. I was thinking that's a good thing, because that game against the Braves,
I need more.
I need more, but that game just proved he's ready for the big moment, because the Braves hitter.
The Padres game proved he was ready for the big moment. Not to save the game 3 at home. He went like 5 1/3
against the Braves when he gave up base runners every single inning. He had 2 on every inning, and he got out of jam after jam. Yeah. With that extra day of rest, you've got everybody available for the next 3 days out of the pen.
Yeah, but I'm not looking to kill the pen day 1.
If you get 4 2/3 of 2-run ball from Ranger Suarez tonight, you're good. If you can get Ranger Suarez through 4 2/3, 5 1/3, and he gives up 2 runs, that's a massive win.
I need 5 innings, man. I need 5 innings from a start.
So what would you prefer at this point? 4 2/3 of 2-run ball from Ranger Suarez, or he gets through 6, but he gives up 3 or 4 runs.
I don't need him to get that. I need him to get those last 2 out. I need him to get through 5, and he can still give up the 2-run ball. Here's my I hear your point about the extra rest for the bullpen, and you're correct. But guess what? You got 3 days in a row here. I'm not looking
Aaron
for
Nola's
day
going tomorrow. Aaron Nola better give you 7 or 8 innings tomorrow.
Right, but then you have probably a bullpen game in 5. So if Ranger doesn't come out tonight and at least get through 5 tonight, or 4 2/3 at least, I don't want to spend the bullpen night 1 of this 3-game stretch. Now, obviously, they're going to have to pitch tomorrow, but I would like a Jose Alvarado, a Sir Anthony Dominguez to not be spent by Game 4 of the World Series, because they had to throw 4 outs tonight because Ranger couldn't do his job.
Can we not get Jose Alvarado in the 5th inning again, please?
Listen,
it worked. It worked.
It's been working, right? And it's survived. Topper's not focusing on the end result. He's not focusing on the game. He's focusing on, how can I win this at bat? How can I get out of this inning? And it's working, right? But I agree. Like you don't want to be in that situation. And that's not on Topper. He made the right call. That's on your starter to not put your manager and your bullpen in that stressful position. So, Ranger, that steady heartbeat, that calm, cool collectiveness, get me through 5 tonight, please. And when I say 5, I don't mean 5 of 5-run ball, Ranger. I need 5 of 2 or less ball, maybe 3 if the Phillies bats look good early on.
Yeah. All right, let's go. I'm sure you're doing pregame live tonight.
I am.
You can save your prediction for that if you want. But instead of an Astros 8-6 win, now because of the extra day, I'm going the other way. I'm going 6-4 Phillies. Get the W tonight. I like that. All right, real quick. Today's show is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of their 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. Gents owns the craft and it shows, rated the #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area. Multiple award-winning barbers and able to handle any style cut, adult or kid. We're back here trending in the AM on DSM Media. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. We got Dylan Davis sitting next to me today. We got the Phillies game tonight, but we also got to talk a little Sixers today, and we're going to get into that. Last night, the Sixers completed their 4-game road trip, getting another W. They are on a 3-game winning streak. They are now 4-4 after starting awful 1-4. And let me tell you something, Dylan. We were talking a little before the show. I was tweeting a little bit last night. Live tweeting a Sixers game right now during the Eagles and Phillies run just doesn't have the same juice. Last year during live tweeting the Sixers game, I was excited, pumping out no jazz for live tweeting the Sixers game right now. But let me tell you something. I know I've been down on this Sixers team, and this is not trying to continue that negative energy that I'm getting from it. I know they just won 3 games in a row. I know they're back to 500. But even in last night's win, that was probably the most uninspiring performance that I've seen. Like, I watched that entire game, tip to ending buzzer. I was bored. There's no energy. There's no juice. Outside of Tyrese Maxey, nobody connects with me as a fan. Like, I don't get that Philly vibe I used to get from this team. There's so much missing from this team right now. I didn't even know Joel Embiid was missing the game. I turn on the game, and he's not in the starting lineup. I'm like, again? He's sick again? How many times does this guy get sick a year?
I know.
Somebody's got to do something about that. Maybe give him a little bit more vitamin C or something like that.
Better immune system.
Give him some Centrum Silver or something. I don't know. Like, this team to me was supposed to be different. It was supposed to the additions of PJ Tucker, Daniel House, DeAnthony Melton, which I'm not down on DeAnthony Melton, but they were supposed to bring a new energy, a new vibe, more grit, more toughness, more connection to the fan base. I'm getting less and less on a daily night. Like, this team doesn't look any different. Somebody tweeted at me last night, like, it's just another second-round exit coming. And I'm like, I can't argue with that. Like, there's no counter-argument to that because it's different pieces, but the exact same team, in my opinion. Dylan, why am I so down on this team?
I don't know. I'll try to bring you to the light side over the next couple of weeks if they continue to play like this. You had the Eagles 7-0, you had the Phillies in the World Series, and you had the 1-4 Sixers start at one point. I feel like you're not in tune with the game. You're not excited for the game. You were expecting a Phillies World Series game to be played last night, so you're not seeking positives. What the Sixers did last night was a positive. What the Sixers have done last night over the last 3 games were a positive. Phil, it was like I saw your tweet at halftime. Yeah, they were tied with no Joel Embiid to the Wizards at halftime. They blew the Wizards out in the second half. They had a 17-point lead for most of the fourth quarter.
And then the Wizards multiple times cut that lead. There was a point last night in the late third, early in the fourth,
that game was never
that it was like 7 or 8 points, and they missed a wide open 3.
Right, and then it would go back to 12, and then it went back to 8.
Wizards, even without Joel Embiid on the court,
they were supposed
to be in the class.
Phil, they're 3-3. They're winning ball. Like the Spurs, like we look at the Spurs, and it's a horrible loss. The Spurs are 5-2. The Spurs are beating other good teams to start the season.
Got a team It's led by Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis.
So, but my point is, but tell the rest of the league that then, like they were 3-3 heading into last night. I don't know what the schedule looks like.
The rest of the league doesn't have the expectations that the Sixers do. The Sixers
were. There's a lot of teams that had the expectations that the Sixers do, and I get it. You're not connecting with Tyrese or anybody but Tyrese Maxey. He was great last night. James Harden was effing spectacular last night. D'Anthony Melton, what?
In the first quarter.
No.
15 points in the first quarter.
He had a career high in assists. He had 17 assists. He was good defensively. D'Anthony Melton's been really good over the last 4 games. PJ Tucker started the game out with 7 of the team's first 9 points. George Niang hit 4 threes off the bench. They were good last night. They struggled, and it was tied in the first half. They blew them out in the second half. It's their third straight win, third straight road win.
I just don't see it. I don't see good energy on the court. And I don't mean like, vibes kind of energy. I mean like their hustle, their heart, their determination. You've got Tyrese.
I disagree about last night. I think last night was one of the first times they showed hustle on both ends of the floor.
I didn't see it. I did not.
So many deflections, so many loose balls, so many transition.
There were a lot of deflections. There were everything you're saying is accurate. But
that's my point. I just feel like I think you're just you have that down mindset on them, and you're not because of what the Phillies are in right now and what you're waiting for tonight and last night. Like if I'm being honest, last night I wasn't like, yeah, the Sixers play, and then like getting ready for the game. I sat back and watched the game and just observed it. But it is a positive. Now they have to continue this, right? Like we do have high expectations. So they won 3 in a row. It's not time to lose 2 and then win 3, then lose 1, then win 2. It's not time for that back and forth 700 basketball. But they're on a 3-game road streak win. They come home now. Who knows? Maybe they get to 6-4 and rattle off 5 in a row.
That schedule is very tough that we're about to jump into here. You got Wizards again. You got the Knicks, the Phoenix. You got 2 games against Atlanta, Utah, who's somehow good. I don't know, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Brooklyn. I mean, the next month, it's a super tough schedule, and I don't know. Look, again, you said it, James Harden. Offensively, the assist part were there last night. Scoring wasn't great after the first quarter. Maxey, why can't Maxey put out performances like last night, night in and night out? Tobias Harris. You all know I'm a huge Tobias Harris supporter. Everybody knows I love Tobias Harris. And defensively, he had some steals. He was active in the game, but I'm starting to realize what other people have been saying. He's not going to help us ever get over the hump. PG Tucker, he played his best game as a Sixer last night, but I just think you gotta wait. Has been very slow.
I just think you gotta wait. We're 8 games into an 82-game season. I don't think you can make any assumptions to say in April and May that things aren't going to change 8 games in, especially when they've won 3 games in a row.
I'm not even looking at the record because you want to look at the record. We could say the Warriors have a worse record, the Clippers have a worse record. I mean, the Lakers are god awful.
Well, they're terrible.
He only has 2 wins on the season, so it's not just the record, and it's part of the big picture. I mean, you go back to I didn't watch a lot of the Bulls game, but 17 fucking sorry, pardon the language, but 17 fucking turnovers against the Bulls.
Oh, it's not. Oh, it's far from perfect, my friend. It is far from perfect,
and that's the problem. There's so much hype put. I told everybody before the season, in the off season,
but that's our fault. That is our fault.
But everybody told me I was wrong. But the same mistakes that this team was making in the past.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is give it more than 8 games to iron those mistakes out. And
first, everyone said give it a couple games. Then everyone's like, give it a few more games. Now we're at 8 games, and we've got 4 or 5 really tough games coming. They're going to go 2 and 3, 3 and 4.
On the kickoff show, I told you and I told everyone, I don't know what the record's going to be, but I promise it's not going to look pretty the first week or 2 of the season. And it has looked far from pretty. But my point is,
why
give it time?
Like, you think that giving it time, all of a sudden, is Daniel House going to become
because there's 8 new pieces?
Montrezl Harrell's going to be better all of a sudden?
Yes. Montrezl Harrell 100% getting involved in the system and getting involved in the pick and roll with James Harden and Tyrese Maxey. 100%. That takes time. That doesn't just happen. It's not pickup ball on the playground, on the blacktop, where they just come in and start running full court. I'll tell you, I talked about this with Scotty last night, and I want to get your opinion on this. And this all comes back to coaching, and it comes back to Doc.
Yeah.
The best version of the Sixers is somewhere in between what they're doing without Joel Embiid versus when Joel Embiid's playing. For everybody saying, oh, well, they won 2 of these games without Joel, and look at the pace without Joel. Maybe they're better off without Joel. Let's stop. Let's stop with that, okay?
I might be ready for that conversation eventually in a week or two, but, not yet. Not yet.
However, we all understand the pace is going to slow up, and when you have a 7'2", 280-pound center that's the best player on your team offensively, that's how the game's got to be played. But now what are you noticing with no Joel? And they're running they're playing small ball and running the 3 guard sets in the starting rotation. The pace is picking up. They're winning transition battles. It's so much quicker. So my point is, coaching Doc Rivers, the best version I have of this Sixers team is Joel Embiid plays, and you have that I'm going to pick you apart in the half-court offense. I have Joel Embiid on the floor, and when he's off for a rest, when he's on the bench, I'm going to run you off the floor, and I'm going to hit you with all the fast pace. Doc, because we know he doesn't in-game adjust, we know Doc tries to play the same style of basketball with Joel Embiid on the floor and with Joel Embiid off the floor in the games he starts. Why can we not get Joel Embiid on the floor, half-court basketball? When he comes out for rest, we get what we're seeing in these 2 games. Run the small ball, run the 3 guards. Because think about the switch up. It's like a change of pace running back. Defenses have to bang down low with Embiid and the size, and then you got to keep up with the speed when he comes off for a couple minutes at a time. That's the best version of the Sixers. Doc doesn't do it.
Right. So, obviously everybody, I'm not shy about my dislike for Doc Rivers, obviously, on this show. Yeah. That's an understatement. But I'm going to try to comment on what you're saying in the most impartial way possible. Okay? Because actually I had this conversation last night. My man LJ, friend of mine, came in to help us at the pizza shop last night. When I got him out, we started talking a little Sixers. He's a big basketball guy. And he asked me a couple questions of my thoughts on changes to this team. And his changes weren't like massive trades of Joel or, Tobias or whatnot, even though he did say maybe we might have to have that conversation before this, not next year, but before the season's out, we might have to have that conversation. But he's like, do you make some adjustments to the starting rotation? Do you put Melton in the starting rotation and put Maxey on the bench? Do you put Tobias Harris on the bench, maybe start Paul Reed or something? He's like, he was coming up with all these, random, adjustments potentially to make to this team. And I said, in theory, some of what you're saying makes sense. But everything that you just said, Dylan, about Doc Rivers and what he should do offensively is the same thing what LJ was saying last night about it. Doc Rivers is too damn stubborn and stuck in his old ways of running a team where what needs to be done, he won't do. He won't make the necessary, I don't want to call them drastic, but the ballsy moves that would change not just the energy on this team, but the flow of the offense, the flow of the defense on this team. Doc Rivers won't bench Tyrese Maxey or Tobias Harris. Doc Rivers won't change how we've been calling it since day one. Get Joel Embiid down low on the block. You don't need him standing out on the 3-point line. He ain't going to change that. He ain't going to change the ISO flow of the game kind of offensive system that he runs, whatever you want to call it. Doc Rivers, still to me, I think this team could make a drastic improvement if you just got rid of Doc Rivers. I know it's too early. I know 8 games is too soon. So nobody's going to do that. But this is the exact same issue that we had last year.
If there's a move to be made, and I know Scotty had brought it up, and myself and a couple other people gave pushback. You might have been in the comments agreeing with me. I forget, but the Tobias thing to the bench. And originally, Scotty brought it up, and I said there's just not that it shouldn't happen, but he gets paid $180 million. He ain't going to the bench.
He's not.
Now, not that I want to replicate anything that the Los Angeles Lakers are doing to start the season, but I'm watching Russell Westbrook, who gets paid I believe, a little bit more money than Tobias
Like
Harris
40-something million a year.
go to the bench. And yes, while Tobias does make that money, Scotty, I'm talking about your point now. While he does make that money, they paid him to be a max contract player 3 years ago. That's not his role anymore. So that would be the move to make, where I'm coming to that kind of side of, if you started DeAnthony Melton, you give him the 3-guard set, you have PJ Tucker defensively with Joel Embiid. Tobias, we know he can score still. Obviously, he has his struggles finding his flow in the offense. Tobias, that's the one thing you could probably tinker with offensively. I'll tell you, Doc ain't doing it.
And that's the problem. Like, it's not like these problems we've had haven't been the exact same problems for a year plus now. Doc just doesn't have the ability to get out of his own way and make the necessary to be like, I was wrong on what I thought this team should be. Let's make those adjustments and see what happens. Even if the adjustments don't work, you might make Tobias. I remember years and years ago, there was a time when Brett Brown was the coach that he tried to make an adjustment. He's like, all right, let's move Dario Saric to the bench. Maybe that'll change some things up. It didn't work. Dario Saric was terrible off the bench. And they moved him back to the starting lineup. I forget what the other move was. But at least Brett Brown had the guts to be like, all right, let's change it up, because what we've been doing for 16 months hasn't worked. Doc Rivers doesn't have he's a stubborn guy that's been doing the same thing for 20 plus years. And that's the problem with this team. And I think their energy, I can feel that they know what they're doing isn't working. And I don't care that they won 3 games in a row. It's how they're winning the games. Last night should have been a 20-point win. 17 turnovers in the Bulls game. When you go up against the Milwaukee Bucks and you have 17 turnovers, you're going to get smoked in that game.
No, I get it. I get that point for sure. But
what it is.
I'll get to how they win later on in the season. My thing is, it's so difficult to judge what this team is and what they look like and what they should look like when the big fella misses 2 of the last 3 games. I need him to, like, at some point, I brought this up to Scotty on the pregame show last night. Listen, we all love him. He's my favorite athlete in Philadelphia. Now, Bryce Harper, is obviously is right there, but Joel's my favorite athlete in this city. He was the MVP last year. Argue with a wall. At what point do we talk about him in this MVP light and just be like, come on, bro, we're 8 games in. You've already missed 2 games. And now apparently you're sick. Again, it's not your fault for being sick, but it seems like you're sick 5 times a year every single season. And
where the hell is this guy? What's that girl cooking for him at home?
And the tweet that came out last night was that he's out and they don't know how long he's out for. So it wasn't just like, oh, he's only out this game. He could miss multiple games because of this. But we're less than an 1/8 of the way through the season. We're a 10th of the way through the season, and here you are.
And then we're gonna have to hear about his
multiple games,
right, again, and that's an excuse. Look, the excuse.
It does get a little bit annoying, man.
I remember Scotty. I was on a show with Scotty. This was years ago, before DSM Media, before Trending in the AM, before any of that. And it was we were having a Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid conversation. I said, I'm not ready to have that Joel Embiid conversation yet. Actually, at that point, I don't think I was ready to have the Ben Simmons conversation yet. Well, at what point do we have to have that conversation about Joel Embiid? That he's just not the number one guy that we want him to be, that we think he is, that he's more than capable of being. But there's an immaturity level with Joel Embiid. There always has been.
So it's funny. I'm not on that side yet, and I get it,
I'm
man.
I'm not ready to have that conversation yet. But the thoughts are
my uncle has texted me many times over the last 2-3 seasons of second round exits with him. Like, Joe, to me, Scotty, I don't know if you agree with this, but it's just kind of like, if not now, when kind of thing. If they're a second round exit again, we do have to reevaluate how this team's constructed. Yeah. And it starts because the point my uncle makes is it possible to win a title in this day with a 7-2 center being the focal point of your team? Yeah. I'm not saying it's not. I love the dude. He's a monster. He's the back-to-back second runner-up MVP, should have won both, if not one of the years. He's incredible. I'm not saying the answer is no. What I'm saying is he has a year or two to figure it out, because then we're going to start to need to tinker with the direction this team's going. And I don't mean if they lose in the finals. I mean, if they can't get over past the second round for the next year or two, yeah, we have to have that conversation, man, of when.
So, again, this is just me being really down the team. And you might be right. Maybe it's because of the Phillies and the Eagles, even hell, I watched some of that Union game on Sunday night.
It's exciting.
Maybe it's all that's putting me in this mood with the Sixers. But last night, a thought creeped. I'm not saying this is my opinion. Just a thought creeped into the back of my head. If you had to rank the 3 Sixers in the order that you'd be most upset to lose, say Daryl Morey made a drastic move or something like that.
Yeah.
I've heard people say trade Tobias. I've heard people say trade Maxey because that's the only way you're going to get the Harden and Embiid thing over the hump. In my mind, last night when this thought creeped into my mind, if I had to rank the guys I'd be most disappointed, Maxey would be number 1. He would be the one I'd least want to get rid of right now because it would upset me personally as a fan. Harden actually has, stepped above. Right now, Joel Embiid's 3rd on the list.
Nah, JoJo's one still.
Because if I'm thinking about the big picture of this organization and this team, I'm just I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that thought process creeped into the back of my head.
I get you. And I just brought up that thought process.
Why wasn't he playing last night? That's part of it. You know what I mean? And
I'm in this weird page where I have to see it through, because I've said, I get it. If you move whatever you get back, I don't know. And it's never happening. We both know that. This is just a hypothetical.
I wouldn't say never.
Well, not now. It ain't happening. It ain't happening.
It's not happening now. But by the end of this season, if this is another second round exit, you're going to hear a lot more grumblings of him to Miami to play with his buddy Jimmy Butler. Let's not ignore the thought that possibly could happen.
Possibly. I'll still say no, but my thing is, I'm in this weird space of, if you get through this year and you're another second round exit, and it's the same old, at what point, is it the coach? Is it Ben? Is it the fit? And is it you just can't win that way? But I'm also at the point where, I'm the conductor of the train of, you're only going to it's Joel Embiid's window to you want to move Joel Embiid to keep Maxey's not leading you to a championship right now. Joel Embiid. So I'm in this weird middle where I don't know which side of the fence is the right side. You just have to see it through. I don't know.
So how do I phrase this the right way? I've seen a lot more teams than you have over my 40 plus years versus your 20 plus years. This team just, in the past, we've had so many teams that we just, in all the sports, it would go back to the McNabb era. We were just good. We just never got over the hump. The Sixers during the Iguodala era, before we got over the hump, we started the process, just never could get over the hump. And I'm just starting to feel that as constructed right now, this team is just never going to get over the hump. And I talked about it all offseason. It's all about timing, too. This Eastern Conference, the Milwaukee Bucks are still far and away better than the Sixers ever will be. And I don't know.
We'll see.
If currently constructed, currently coached, the whole package, they're going to get there.
Listen, I saw your tweets and I saw some of the comments last night, and I'm just, again, it's just me having a difference of opinion on it.
Frustration.
Yeah. But my point, I saw people tweeting back at you, or other people tweeting last night about how this team is poorly constructed, and I'm like, first of all we did all season long was applaud how this team has been constructed, and we're 8 games in, and they're on a 3-game winning streak. So let's pump the brakes on the bench talk and how poorly constructed they are.
Maybe my brother reminded me. I forget who reminded me that last year everybody was ready to blow the Boston Celtics up.
Yeah.
They were so bad in the first half of the season. And
they were horrible.
Awful. When they were well below 500 at the halfway point. And they ended up in the finals. Mm-hmm. So, look, I understand it's a long season, but this isn't year 1 of this process anymore.
I get it. Of Doc. Yeah, I get it. But
multiple years of Doc. This is 5 years of Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. Do you realize how long ago the Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons? That wasn't last year.
It's
It
2018.
feels like it was a decade ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a long, long time. So the Celtics thing, while it's a fair comparison, they had a first-year head coach last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is Doc Rivers, the guy that's won titles, that's supposed to be this top 10 all-time NBA coach. I'm just saying, the
I
conversation
hear
is
you.
similar, but it's different.
I hear
So
you.
I
I'll
don't
just
know.
say I think I've seen more positives than you're like James Harden, 6 of the first 8 games has played phenomenal basketball. Tyrese Maxey over the last 5 games is averaging like 28, 29, whatever the average is right now. He's been unreal. Joel always starts slow. It's not I'm not giving him a pass. I'm not giving him an excuse. It's just kind of the reality of the situation. But it's the reality of the situation. The last 3 years, he has a horrible October.
Well,
He has
if
an
you
okay
want to be
November.
considered the MVP, you
I
cannot.
agree. I agree with you. You can't take the first 3 months off.
Joel Embiid's exact words in this offseason were, "I'm going to play 4 complete quarters of every game."
I agree. All
Is
I'm
he
saying
is he
is
following through with what he said?
no. But what I'm saying is by the time late November, December hits, you'll probably start to see another gear. The bench is starting to come together a little bit over the last couple of games. We'll see how once we're at the 24, 25 game mark, I bet you have a different tone about the Sixers. That's just my prediction.
This is the same conversation I had with everybody before the Philly season with Joe Girardi, and I'm having the same conversation again now with Doc Rivers. Don't be afraid to fire your coach. If you think this team is talented enough, do not be afraid to fire your head coach. Just don't. I mean,
I don't know.
we don't know.
I think it's a little different.
We don't know if Sel's going to be a good coach. We don't.
Exactly.
But is he going to be any worse than what Doc Rivers is doing right now?
No, but how many guys? The issue is, to me, to get to that breaking point of Doc's gone, the Sixers are in a bad way, and to me, it's not a coaching change that is the end all be all fix of the Sixers. I think there's a lot more issues, like on the floor wise, than just Doc. Because yes, once again, Doc catches a lot of flack and negativity, and rightfully so. He's stubborn. He doesn't adjust. His rotations can get annoying. That doesn't mean, like, we talk about him like he's the worst coach in NBA history. Doesn't mean he's the worst coach in NBA history. At some point, the players got to play. The 17 turnovers isn't on Doc Rivers. The 28 3-point percentage against the Milwaukee Bucks isn't on Doc Rivers. So at some point, the players have to start to step up. And if he can just limit his dumbass decision making at times, we could have a perfect picture.
So this is the second half of this. Suns next Monday, the real test. The Suns next Monday will be the first time that even if the World Series goes 7 games, baseball's over starting on Monday. That's when all the eyes. So they have the next 2 games against the Wizards and the Knicks to figure their shit out. Yeah. Because then starting next week, it's just Sixers and Eagles. So all week long, all eyes will be on that Sixers team. They got to figure that out.
Don't let the Flyers get hot, brother.
Yeah. Whatever day the parade will be for the Phillies in the Union, that day will be off the Sixers as well, because we'll be talking that. But that's another whole subject. Let's wrap this show up here, Dylan. We got a minute left here in the show. Over under 0.5 trades from Howie Roseman today at the deadline.
Ooh. I'm going to go over. There's a lot of whispers that Howie and the Eagles were not done after the Robert Quinn move. It's not like a lot of other teams have made moves before right now. So I think you're going to see a couple moves, and I suspect the Eagles to be one. I don't know what that move is. I don't know how big. I don't know if it's Kareem Hunt-esque. I don't know if it's a defensive back. I don't know what it is.
I'm going to say this. Don't be surprised if he makes trades today, that one of the trades is trading away a player. Because Andre Dillard is back to being healthy. He played the last 8 minutes of the game. Dude, if you watch that Monday Night Football game, Cincinnati needs a lineman.
Yeah.
You can if Howie Roseman is the GM that fleeces people as much as we think he is, he's calling Cincinnati this morning being like, yo, give me your first for Andre Dillard right now. Now, I don't know if Cincinnati does it, but Cincinnati might be desperate enough to kind of make that go. I don't know. I think that is just as likely as any other trade.
It's interesting, man, and you can't put anything past Howie. Again, if a first or a second rounder for Andre Dillard comes available, you know he's going to do that. But I think he's so in win. Like Robert Quinn was such a win now move. I don't think he's done tinkering with this roster and adding one more thing that says
somebody tweeted at me because they know how much I wanted it in the offseason. Andre Dillard for Jesse Bates. I'm like, oh man, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That would be a dream. You improve that safety room, and then you get something for Andre Dillard. I don't know. Anyway, I'm actually going to say the under the half a trade. I actually think it ends up being a quiet day. Just because I don't think he's going to trade anything above or better than a 4th round pick. I think he's content keeping those early picks. You're going to be able to get somebody's going to get cut, whether it's Cam Akers or Kareem Hunt, whoever it is. There's going to be a running back cut. There's going to be a safety cut. There's going to be teams that are clearing out, cap space in the, after today's deadline. And I think that's where Howie makes adjustments on the waiver wire for this team.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see it. It just feels like people are just pointing out so many positions, man. We need a backup running back. We need another pass catching tight end. We need another safety. We need this. It's like we'll see.
Can you imagine that 8 weeks of the NFL is already over?
No, can you imagine that the Eagles are going to be 8-0 in a couple days?
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing thing right now.
Can I say one thing before we wrap up?
No.
For everybody, listen, I'm as big of an Eagles fan as you will ever meet, and I'll have the 2 TVs on. For everyone that's contemplating, oh man, what are we gonna do? You watch the World Series, dude. You got a World Series Game 5 on your hands, or you have the Eagles playing on 1-5. It's not the Eagles versus the Bills or the Cowboys or the Chiefs. It's the Eagles versus the 1-5-1 Texans. Put it on the side, the laptop, the phone, whatever you got. Mute it, put it there, and you'll watch the World Series. Are we joking?
There's a chance I won't even put it on the second screen because my focus then might be distracted.
It'll definitely depend how the next 2 games go. If it's 2-2, if it's 2-2 or 3-1 Phillies, yeah. If it's 3-1 Astros, not that it's over, but you're going to be sitting back.
I get it. But yeah, my focus will be 110% on the Phillies on Thursday night. No doubt about it. All right, we're going to wrap up Trending the AM right here on DSM Media, right there. But back tomorrow, we'll be talking Phillies. Keep the Sixers talk going. We'll keep the Eagles talk going. If there's any trades that made, we're going to talk more NFL and how this comment by Scotty is really, really annoying right now. But it is so true. There's so many teams. I mean, the freaking Atlanta Falcons are in first place in their division. That's how pathetic this NFL season is. So I'm going to get into that tomorrow as well. Everybody have a great day. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button on the DSM Media YouTube page.
Giveaway.
World Series patch. Eagles tickets. We got so much we are giving away. Even if you're watching this on replay, go hit the like button. Go hit the subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate it. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Enjoy. Yeah, Dylan, it's not Red October anymore. Is there a Red November, or are they changing the hashtag? Or
it's got to be Red November.
It's got to be Red November now, doesn't it?
Red November.
It doesn't have the same ring to it. But let's ring that bell and get that W tonight, boys.
Ring that bell.
Have a great day.
And Philadelphia has it.
Holding gets around in front.
Oh, he's got to head to it.